Everybody, this is Tom for Tom's Way again. Today we're going to show you how to rebuild a piston pump. The one we're going to do today is a 430, but a 430, a 323, a 620, 820, they're all piston pumps. They're all pretty well done the same way. There's just different parts involved in it. We're doing a 430 because I just happen to have one in front of me. All right, first thing we're going to do is we're going to take off the head nuts. There's two of them. Takes a 13 millimeter wrench, to get them off. And once you get them off, set them aside and very carefully take off the discharge head, because when you do, if the head's not warped, the valves are going to fall out. Once in a while, the cylinders will come out with it. That's not a problem. Once you get it out, pull the cylinder out that came with it. Set it aside for right now. That's the last thing we're going to fix. All right, now we are going to take out the rest of the cylinders. It's just a matter of popping them out. They're held in with O-rings. Now, when you take them out, I want you to inspect them. Easiest thing to do is just look through them at a light and make sure there's no scratches or wear marks on the inside. The wear marks on the inside is going to show a groove or a larger portion on one end of it than it is on the other end. They're supposed to be perfectly straight and round on the inside. If they're not, they need to be replaced. Check the O-rings. Once you've done all that, set them aside. Now you have three little cotter pins in the front. You're going to take a small pair of needle nose pliers and you're going to straighten them. Push them out through the top. The kits have new ones in it, so I wouldn't worry about them too much. Okay, they're out, they're done. You're going to take a 10 millimeter socket or 10 millimeter wrench, whichever is handiest for you, but it takes 10 millimeter. I like to use a socket because I have more control over it. Loosen them up. Take them off. Now, my advice to anybody that is doing this, especially if you've never done one before, lay them out in the order that you take them off. That way, when you go to put them back on, you put them back in the opposite order that you took them off. Now, if you've done them before, you don't have to be as careful, but if you have never done one, it's very simple to put the wrong washer or the wrong splitter valve or whatever in the wrong order. Okay, once you have them off and have them laid out, now you're going to take off the inlet studs or whatever you want to call them. They're actually the part that holds them down. Loosen them up. It takes a 13 millimeter wrench. Take them off. Now, you can grab this and pull it off, but it's a lot easier if you just turn the crank. It'll bring it loose a little bit and then pull it off straight. Now, sometimes when you pull it off, the piston sleeves are going to come with it. It's not a big deal. There it is. You have seal retainers. They have to come out. All right, now you have pistons with the piston sleeves on it. Pull them off gently. Now there's an O-ring on the end of the piston. There's an O-ring and a groove there. 99% of the time the piston O-ring is going to come off inside the piston itself. There it is. Now these are in the sleeve and seal kit. Replace them every time. Don't try to be quick, easy, whatever. Replace them every time. After you get them all off, that one's stuck in there. There it is. All right, once they're off, you have a barrier slinger in the back that you're going to take out and inspect it. It should be flat. It should not be wore. These all come in the kit too, the sleeve and seal kit. And as with any other pump, anything that you get in the kit when you get the kit, you make sure that you replace it inside the pump. They would not give it to you if they did not think you needed it. Replace every part that's in the kit every time. Okay, this is totally disassembled. Now, if you stand the pump up on the end and look, you will see some big heavy washers on the back. Those washers are there to hold in the water seals. Oil seals, I'm sorry. Make sure they're back in there again. Otherwise, the only thing that's going to hold them back in is this piece of plastic. So they're in there. They don't wear. If you're going to replace the oil seals on it because you're leaking oil, okay. If you do, you just take those washers out, put a screwdriver in it, turn the screwdriver, they pop right out. I'm not taking them out because they don't need to be replaced on this pump. All right, we're all disassembled. So now we're going to start putting it back together. Now I'm not going to use the kits because this is a brand new pump. But there's 3 kits that will put this back together. You have a sleeve and seal kit, a valve kit, and a machine cup kit. Now you can get a kit that all you do is just replace the rubbers on the outside of the cups. Don't use it. If you don't get it on right and you fold it or whatever, it's no good. Always use a machine cup kit. Okay. Now, we're going to put the seal retainers back on after we put the barrier slingers in. Almost got me. Make sure they're all the way down and seated. Seal retainers go in and they set into place. Now, once upon a time on your old pumps you had a set of wicks that went inside of these. They no longer have wicks anymore because all the seals are graphite filled, so you don't need the wicks to do what you had to do. Most of the seals that you're going to get now are Permalube seals. They never have to be lubricated. You don't have to oil them once a month like you used to. All right, they're all back in. The next thing you have is the water seals. I'm not popping them out of here, but I'm going to show you how. If you come on the discharge side of it, if you take an 11mm socket, set it on top of it, and take a rubber mallet and just smack it, they'll push them out. When you're putting them back in again, you're going to take a 15mm socket. It fits right over the top of the seal. And you're going to push it and you're going to pound them back in so they're nice and straight. Whenever you put the seals in, it's the same rule with every seal that you've ever done on any pump you've ever done or any repair you've ever done. The spring always goes in away from you. If you look at the seal, you will see a spring on it. That spring always goes away from you so you can't see it when it's in. All right, we have that done. We are now going to put the sleeves back on it. What I try to do is I try to make it so that the 2 inside cylinders are out. Now, when you put the sleeves back on it, after you inspect them, you're going to inspect these sleeves and make sure there is no scratches in them. If there's a scratch in it, replace it. Whether it's horizontal or it's vertical, if there's a scratch in it or a mar on it or a mark on it, you're going to replace it. When you go to put these on, if you look inside of it, you will see that one end is smaller than the other, internal, not external. The larger one, which if you look in it, you can see it, goes on first. You put it in very slowly, twist, and shove. Same with the next one. You look, find the right end, push, and turn. Now, a lot of people, including myself, a lot of times will take a little bit of cat oil and dip this down in it. I don't have to because I already got it full of oil. Take it on, same thing. Make sure you got the right end, which I didn't. There it is, there's the right end. Put it in, twist it, and push at the same time. Okay, all of these sleeves should be about the equal distance on the pistons. If you look, you'll see about the same distance that's not threaded. That part of it's done. Now you're going to take the inlet head. Line it up. I always have the center one out so I can get it straight, and then just push. You should be able to get it 99% of the way back in it. Lock washers back on. The hold on studs. Now, when you're putting these things back on, you're going to tighten them up as hard as you can by hand. Don't kill these things. And you're going to get them on. You're going to snug them up. And that's all you're going to do. You're not going to try torquing on them or nothing. Just get them on and get them snug. All right. The inlet side of this pump is done. All right, now we're going to start putting the rest of the pump back together. I had you, when you took these apart, lay them out so that they go back on in the same order they came off. So that's what you're going to do. This part is not going to be replaced very often. This part is not going to be replaced very often. This is the machine cup. This is the one that you're going to replace every time. Goes on. Barrier sling, or the spreader valve, which is this round washer with all the holes in it, goes on next. Then you're going to take the lockdown nut. This you're going to put on, and you're going to snug it up. Then you're going to slowly make it so that the hole on the shaft and one of the notches in the crown nut line up. Once you have that, take your new cotter pin and put it in. Once you have it in, bend it up so it doesn't come out. What am I forgetting? I missed something. I dropped an O-ring. I dropped the washer. Didn't feel right.
We won't talk about that part.
No, it didn't feel right.
We'll cut that part out, though.
You can cut that part out. It didn't feel right when I was putting it on. Something was wrong. There it is. Luckily, I know what it feels like. I have actually put them back together without that thing. It's not a good thing, but it works. All right, go to the next cylinder, same way, piece by piece, replacing the parts that are in the kit, making sure that you replace the machine cups, making sure that you have every part back on in the order you took it off. Now, a lot of guys will use a 10mm wrench on this so they can see the hole. I don't, because it just seems to get in my way and I can't get it to where I want it every time, so I use a socket, but that's why it's called Tom's way. Third cylinder, piece by piece, replacing every part that's in the kit. Why is she going on there? What the hell? Fingers are going numb. There we go. All right, the next thing is to get the cylinders back on it. I always, and I mean always, lubricate either the inside of the cylinder with a little bit of cat oil or any kind of oil, but I prefer cat because I'm going to put it in the pump anyway. Get it lined up over the top of the cup and push firmly and gently until you get it to snap into place. Now, some people will tell you that you should put these inside the discharge head before you put that on. That way the valves don't fall out and don't fall apart. I won't do that because now you're taking a chance of rolling a cup or something and you can't see it. I always put the cylinders on the cups and then we deal with the head. Now, there's the discharge head. You have valves in it. Valves consist of 4 parts: the basket, the spring, the valve itself, and the valve disc holder, or retainer, whatever you want to call it. You're putting a valve kit in. You're going to put everything from the valve kit that is there in. That also gives you O-rings for the cylinders and complete valves. If you're not, now if you inspect these and you decide they're okay, put them back together, put them in the pump. I suggest that if you're going to take the pump apart and you're going to repair the back half of the pump, you might as well do the front half of the pump where you got it apart. Because these are just like any other pump. If you get dirt in these valves, you are going to get chatter. These are a little bit harder to clean out than a 310 would be, or a plunger pump, any kind of plunger pump would be. So you want to make sure that you get these back in, you get them back in clean, and they're not pitted, and they're in good working order before you put them back in. That's why I suggest you put a brand new set of valves in it. Now, if you go to put the valves in and they don't want to go in, that means this head is warped. If this head is warped, you have to replace it. So when you take this head off, if the valves don't come out or the valves don't want to go back in the way they're supposed to, you have a warped head. You might get lucky and be able to put it in a vise and straighten it, but it ain't going to stay long. Replace the head if the valves don't come out, because that means the head's warped. All right, now you're going to just take it very gently. Make sure the discharge hole's up on top. Slide it on. Push firmly and gently. You'll hear it pop into place. Put down your hold down nuts. And this is another one of those things where you don't have to kill them. You want them snug, you want them tight, but you don't want to torque them. Because if you do torque them, then you're going to warp the head. Make sure all the spacers that were on the stud are back on the stud when you put it back on. When the manufacturer made it, he put what spacers it took in here to get the head to be where it had to be. So you have to make sure that they're all back on there again. If you lose one, you need to replace it. If you put this head on crooked, you may get a week, 10 days, 2 weeks out of it, and the head's going to warp, you're going to lose pressure and start dripping water. These are a lot more finicky and a lot more touchy than a plunger pump is. Piston pumps are very good pumps. but they're a little harder to fix and they're a little bit touchier. We've just rebuilt a 430 cat pump. All the parts, all the kits are available from Kleen-Rite. Ask the salesman, they'll give you the part numbers for the kits. There's 5 or 6 different variations. You can get machine cups, you can get standard cups, you can get inserts, you can get quiet valves, you can get regular valves. The sleeve and seal kit is always the same. You can buy the seals without the sleeves. There's 15 different ways to get it. My suggestion is you always buy a machine cup kit, you always buy a valve kit, you always buy a Permaloop sleeve and seal kit. That will take care of your whole pump. The next thing you're going to do, like you do anything else, change the oil. That's just as important in this pump as it is in any other pump. If the oil's no good, the back end goes. The back end goes, the pump goes. You're done. You always change the oil when you're done. We just rebuilt a pump. Have a good day.